pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll start up with an approval of minutes. Second. Right.
I have questions on the minutes. At the last meeting, there was action taken after we came back from executive session, and it doesn't show in the minutes. There were votes taken, so if there's votes taken, it's action, so it has to be in the minutes.
Okay.
If we could, just amend the minutes to show that, then I don't think that there's no other problems with the minutes at all.
So we're making an amendment made to that.
Yeah. Well, one of you guys has got to make the amendment. I can't make it.
Well, I would make a motion that you review the tape and amend the minutes as needed at the tail end of that for our review.
So we'll vote on that. You can vote on next one.
Yeah. All right, so we'll have to vote on
I don't recall voting on anything after the executive session, actually.
Well, you did. You voted on hiring of the gentleman out at the Addis plant.
No, we
You
talked
don't
about
have-
Yeah,
it, we didn't actually vote.
Mr.
All right,
Weatherup brought it
you'll
up.
review it. I'll review it.
And also you voted on amending the policy and procedures temporarily until such action can be taken so they can be reviewed. You voted on that also.
Okay.
it. All right.
I think the proper course then would be to review it and vote any minutes.
Yeah,
All right. We can do it.
sounds good.
I made that
Okay,
motion.
we had that motion to review the minutes, take it back. Have a second? Okay. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Thank you. Okay, first up, we have a resolution approving the execution and consulting agreement with Alan Bogovich concerning the Addis ethanol food products. This is to get the place in shape, so help us have a sale with it.
I made that motion.
And that's supposed to be $5,000 a month up to October 12th. Looking for a second?
Awesome.
Have a first and second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Resolution number 2 is a resolution accepting New York State Shared Services Matching Funds and allocating the development of the efficiency fund to the amount of $1,782,945.51 from the New York State Shared Service Program.
I'll make it.
Okay.
Second.
We have a first and second.
Want to elaborate on that a little bit?
Oh.
Chunk of change or?
Yes. As you recall, back in 2018-19, Governor Cuomo and the legislature mandated the creation of countywide shared services panels to encourage shared services, even though we have been doing it for the last 30 years. But the addition was anything we could document that we saved the taxpayer, the state would match that and with a one-time grant. And in, I think this is from the 2020 plan, we collaborated with Onondaga and Syracuse on an RFP for third-party administration of our health plan. That we were able to demonstrate a savings in the subsequent year on the tax levy of $1.78 million. So we submitted that as a claim, and the state has awarded that to us. There were a couple of Sandy Creek and Richland, I think, also received an award for purchasing a screener together off that particular plan. What I'm suggesting we do is, since we no longer have a means to fund the Development and Efficiencies Fund, and this is a grant, we could place this money there to use for special projects that may be related to future economic development or internal efficiencies of the government, new programs or not new programs, but I mean new methods, updating some of our processes. And that, since it's a grant, we can roll that money forward each year. So this could fund any efforts along those lines probably for the next few years without having to put money on the tax levy to fund that development and efficiencies fund. And since it's derived from a development and efficiency, it's an appropriate place to put it and use it.
Any other discussion on this? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Resolution JC3. This is a resolution awarding professional service contract, RFP 23CC-001, electronic development and type of records and management system. This is going through the code department and the purchasing department. And it be from ICC Community Development Solutions of Rochester, New York. The amount of startup fee is $24,795.
I would make a motion we approve this, pass it on to the board.
Second.
First and second. Any other discussion? Derek?
So, I appreciate you entertaining this today. This is the first step in modernizing our record center, something that is very, very full of documents right now, a facility that's very, very full of documents. This is going to help alleviate the boxes and boxes of papers that are sitting in departments that are waiting to go to the record center, and ultimately be able to have a technological expedition when you want to retrieve your documents. Currently, you have to submit a form through Chris at the record center to get that documentation then sent back to you, whatever you're requesting. So this is going to modernize it. We're going to have it on a server. I do want to thank purchasing. There was a lot of work that went into this RFP. A lot of counties are moving to this, but we're right on the cutting edge of it, so it's something we should all be proud of, I think, taking that first initial step. And, ICC, one part, just so everybody knows, ICC is working with a couple of our departments already for some records management, so this way we'll be able to share that, we won't have to bring that to the other businesses involved.
Right.
I just wondering, who did this before?
No one.
3 years ago, we voted up in Pulaski on bringing somebody in.
That's my records management software for the clerk's office. That's recording of deeds. It has the same name,
Okay.
similar concept, but it's totally different because this is a warehouse type of system. That is a system that you can retrieve that automatically.
Okay. Okay. All right then, okay.
Two totally different concepts.
Okay, okay, thank you.
Anybody else have anything? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that's PC4, it's a resolution adopting the County of Oswego Local Law Number 3 of 2023 entitled Local Law Allowing Eligible Volunteer Firefighters and Ambulance Workers to receive a real property tax exemption for the real property tax law, RPGL 466-8.
I'll second.
We have a first and second. Discussion on it?
I'd just like to point out that we revised this after public comment from fire department members concerned about the 2 to 5 year issue. We revised it to accommodate that. Some sections we couldn't accommodate them because of the law, but we did the best we could with this, and I think it's an important law, and we can't get paid fire departments to take jobs. So we're going to keep our volunteers around, give them a little help. Somehow it's an important issue that we have to address.
And I would note that the legislator here was instrumental in moving that to a 2-year term as well.
Any
A
other,
very strong stance on it, actually.
any other discussion on it? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Next up, we have, reporting on different departments, county clerk.
The only thing I would add to all the work we've been doing in our records center, preparing, we're trying to go back right now, and any documents that under the retention schedule can be disposed of, we are disposing of them. That was something that's kind of lacked throughout the past 10 to 15 years. So Chris is doing his due diligence before we start this new project. So that's one thing. In motor vehicle, I just want everybody to be aware, I'm constantly trying to revisit how we're processing transactions, expediting transactions for our customers. Right now, I'm revamping our dealer section. As our employees, as you know, we hired a lot of new employees. As they become trained and proficient in the transactions, I'm kind of rotating them through and finding who best fits in our dealer service department. Right now, we're down to every 2 days, 2-day turnaround for dealers, which is kind of another county, and I had this little, we're going back and forth with dealers, you know, so I'm working for the county trying to get as much profit as we can, because those aren't local people. I mean, when you process a dealer transaction, 9 times out of 10, it's an Onondaga resident. It's a Madison County or Peoria County resident or something. So I just wanted you to know we are revamping that. If there's any dealerships that you know that want to be picked up by our courier, please let me know, because that's kind of a fluid end of motor vehicles right now.
Thank you, Jerry. Anybody else have any questions for Jerry? Okay. Strategic initiative department updates.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If you recall, at your last meeting, the legislature approved a little over 30 projects, so we've been taking some of those to contract with the assistance of the county attorney. Also, July is the reporting month for the second quarter of the fiscal year. So we spent a lot of time working with the people who had previously been awarded funds, doing the follow-up, and everybody sends us a report every quarter, and we get to review the status of their project and talk to them about if they're having any trouble, making sure they're going to be able to complete everything. We have to upload all the information into the Treasury Department reporting system. So July was spent doing a lot of that work. And as you know, strategic initiatives involves things other than the American Rescue Plan. So we spent a lot of time this month working with the owners and operators of wastewater treatment systems throughout the county. Kicked off a study that's being conducted by CNS to help us better understand what all the assets are that are out there, and talk about how we can help communities grow those systems, figure out what their problems are, and at the same time talk about whether or not it makes sense to consider doing that on a countywide basis. If there's a process or a way that we can all work together that makes it better and easier for people to maintain and grow those systems and grow the county. We're going to continue to discuss and work towards that if that's what people want. We're not going to force it on anyone, but got a lot of positive response so far.
Any further movement or information on the Phoenix wastewater system? Have they made any decisions of how much they're going to spend out of that money that they got for the wastewater system?
You mean the New York Forward money?
Yeah.
So originally they were told, it's an interesting dilemma, because they wrote their report saying that they want to develop this part of the village, and in order to do that they have to make improvements to their wastewater treatment system, because it can't take on new customers right now. And then they got awarded the money, and this Department of State said, oh, you can't use that on your wastewater treatment plant. Well, that's the whole basis of our plan, is to do this development, and we can't do the development without improving the wastewater treatment plant. It says that in our application. So we've had some discussions with the Department of State, and the village has as well, and We think that they'll get final approval to spend some of that. The upside is that in their plan, they had discussed spending up to 1.5 million. And we've got it to a point where they don't have to put in about half of that. So that's making the negotiations with the state a little bit more appealing. So we have two applications we're waiting to hear from. A federal grant, 1.5 million, that should be sometime in August. And then this week, today likely, we'll submit a plan to Environmental Facilities Corporation for a little over 2 million. If both of those are funded, we're ready to go to bid.
Thank you. Any other questions for Dave? Thank you. Next up, we have the Real Department clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So later in this month, well, August, I guess, next month, I'm going to be meeting in this room with the Local Assessors Association to discuss a number of items, but one of them is concerning the senior exemptions that all of the towns have compared to ours, so we can try and get more of them standardized to our, so we're all on the same level. If you recall, a couple of months ago, I let you all know that the income calculation for that exemption changed. New York State changed the law, so it's now using a different calculation for income. I don't know if our law necessarily needs to be amended to reflect that, but if it does, then I would bring that to you next month. But as far as I know, there's nothing else that's going to need to change with our version of the law. But if the legislature wants to change anything, for example, the income limits, let me know before I go to that meeting so I can have that information to share with them, because they're going to take that back to their towns as well. So whatever we talk about in the meeting. So, and then last month I brought my annual report, and if anybody had any questions for me on that, feel free to ask away. Nobody brought forth any questions or comments, so I'm assuming I did a great job and y'all loved it, so. Thank you.
Well, there'll have to be another mailer for the senior.
There sure will. This year we're just going to use the, New York State puts out a list of, homeowners that make less than whatever that state maximum is, and we'll just use that as the mailer. So that we just have a single, we don't have to guess at a number, we'll have something to budget for. But yes, it's a annual recurring cost.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? All right, next up is for elections. We got here, elections. We'll be looking for a motion to go into executive session.
Mr. Chairman, I request an executive session regarding discussions concerning proposed pending or current litigation, you versus County of Oswego, pending workers' compensation case, Oswego County versus Purdue Pharma et al., insulin price fixing litigation, and also an executive session regarding the proposed acquisition, sale, or lease of real property, which publicity would substantially affect the value thereof.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Move to adjourn.
Aye.
Okay, all set. Thank you.
Oh, yes, it is.